Hi guys, welcome back. Happy Sunday. So I want to jump right into this video because I have a lot to get through here. So I'm excited to do this video because it has definitely been a long time coming. And this video basically comes as inspiration from my upcoming book, Dying to Submit, that I'm going to be releasing very soon. Now, I wrote Dying to Submit back in 2014, and I ended up posting a book order form on my website. I think it was 2015, if I'm not mistaken, probably sooner. But that's when my responses began to come in. I think that's when I actually made it live, where you guys can order a free advanced copy of my book, Dying to Submit. So I got inundated with a lot of responses. Now, part of getting a free copy, an advanced copy of my book, I asked people to share one of their secret fantasies. So in this video, essentially, I'm going to read off what those fantasies are. I'm going to share a little bit about what my fantasy is, or was, shall I say, because I actually got a chance to experiment a little bit. Hence the book Dying to Submit. It's been a long time coming. We're talking about me starting this book in 2014, and we're now in 2022. So 8 years later, it has definitely been a long time coming. But let me give you guys a little bit of history, and then we're going to just jump right into these responses. So back in 2014, I actually was at the tail end of a 5-year relationship. The relationship was with my best friend, who is no longer my best friend now. I had to part ways. I had to, sometimes you gotta just do that cut off because the friendship isn't going anywhere. So we started out as best friends, and then it evolved into us, should I say romantic relationship? But it wasn't really much romance. And I have to admit, it was more of a contextual reason why, and I would say at the same time, it was him too, because he was more asexual. He was one of those geeky type of antisocial type of nerd type of video game player type of person, right? So you can just kind of imagine this person. But he was definitely asexual. That was, I would say, the best descriptor to qualify who he was and how that played into our relationship dynamic. For me, I'm a sexual being, clearly, right? And I'm open about my sexuality. I'm sexually free. So with us dating, and by the way, we lived together, right? We cohabitated for many years together. We go way back. We're like this, right? We're like bread and butter. So it was rough because after we ended up moved from Florida to Atlanta. We lived there for a while. Atlanta is where I decided to go ahead and just move up with myself. And I did just that, literally actually moved from Atlanta to New York. But at that time, I was having cravings. I was really feeling like, now is the time. Why not? I was feeling very edgy, very bold. And though, yes, me and him, we were still together. Like I said, we were cohabitating. I had needs, I had needs. And the relationship had already run its course, right? We were just coexisting together. And oh my gosh, it was so exciting. So I'm not going to get into too much detail, right? I do encourage you guys to just go and read the snippet that I have, right? I have an excerpt of this book, Dying to Submit, that you guys will get your hands on. It's on my website, danielleleach.com. Most of you guys probably already read it. But you guys can see that I kind of captured this autobiographical. It's a fictional fantasy story, but it's definitely based on my own real life experience during that time when I was in Atlanta, Georgia. And I had met this master, this BDSM master. I call him my mentor, and he just oh my gosh, he ushered me into this whole entire new world that I was like, yo, what have I been waiting on? Like, you know how you come across something new and you're like, I've been missing out. I literally have been missing out on a very titillating, mesmerizing experience that I should have been afforded to all along. Like, what is this? And can you imagine going a whole 5-year relationship and not really having sex, right? And I know you guys may find this hard to believe. And I actually had a conversation with one of my recent acquaintances who's like, 5 years, no sex? I'm like, yes, like we did not have, when I said dude was asexual, right? That was a big part of it. And contextually, like, during that time, we were just going through a lot anyway. Like, it was our struggle phase. And so, yeah, we were just hustling and bustling, trying to make ends meet. So that definitely played a role in it. But dude was, yeah, I think apart from that, even when we were financially set, like, we weren't having sex. So I can count, I would say, 1 time, maybe 2, but no more than 2 times where we actually had intercourse. And this is a 5-year relationship. I know most of the women probably may think like, oh, okay, well, maybe he cheated, right? And the funny thing about it, the person that I just had this recent exchange with, who was questioning, he was doubtful, was like, how was that even possible? I said he thought that perhaps dude, like I wasn't doing my job essentially, right? Or he wasn't turned on. I'm like, no, I wasn't attracted to him, right? So there's a lot that goes into that. It was a whole dynamic, you guys. I wasn't really physically attracted to this guy. He definitely was attracted to me, but he was not really a sexual person. And I think, in fact, I actually took his virginity. So before me, he hadn't had sex. It was awkward, but it's like we bonded in other levels, right? Like I said, he just was a very atypical person, and I consider myself somewhat atypical in many different ways. And we click like that. Very geeky person, you know, like I'm a nerd myself. So it's just like we bonded in other ways. And how I would like to say it, it's other ways that a couple can have intercourse, right? Sex is not just a physical exchange between a person's genitals, right? It's more than that, you know, it's psychological, it's emotional. And for us, it definitely, I think our connection that really kept us together and how we truly bonded was through other means. It was more of a psycho-spiritual connection that we had. So one can say we had sex in that way, but yeah. So because I was kind of essentially, I deprived myself. I wasn't saying I was deprived necessarily in that relationship, because even if he was a sexual person, I just was not physically attracted to have sex with him. But we were together. I know it's odd, and I'm a very different person. I'm a very odd person, I admit, right? But I couldn't do it. But I would love to like go into detail, and perhaps maybe as this video progresses and as I feel so inclined to do, I actually may give you guys a little snippet. I may give you guys a snippet of my experience with my master. Funny enough though, me and my master, we never had intercourse. I know it's like hard to believe, but there are so many ways I get turned on, and I can get my sexual needs met without actually being penetrated. Yeah, so I do a lot of videos talking about this, and even when I talk about alternative sexual lifestyle activities, especially including cuckolding, like I give the breakdown on how this is possible, because I know sometimes people have a hard time like wrapping their mind around it. Now, I titled the video, What's Your Fantasy? Because I want you guys to be ever so bold to feel free to share what your fantasies are. But here in this video, I'm actually going to go through, oh my gosh, I have like a lot of submissions here. I have a lot. So hopefully I can get through every single submission. I'm going to read the city that the person who sent the submission lives in, and I'm going to read what their fantasy is. So this, mind you now, this goes all the way back to 2015 when this form first was made live on my website at danielleleach.com. Alright, so let's see how many we can get through. There are like dozens, over 100, I would have to say, of these, but What? Let's see. Yo, it's funny because, like, my life has been on the go. So for you guys who are here, are back again, right? And you are seeing this video and you're hearing me read what your fantasy is. And you're probably wondering, like, okay, where's the book, right? I submitted this form so many years ago. Like, where is the book dying to submit? And I will be sending you guys a follow-up email shortly after I complete this video to let you guys know how you are able to update your mailing address in case it has changed. Because I would imagine some of you guys probably moved since you guys submitted your form to order a copy of the free book, or this advanced copy of Dying to Submit. But yeah, my life has been on the go, so a lot has definitely transpired and changed since this, right? Like, we were talking about 2015. At that time, I think, yes, I had moved from Atlanta, Georgia. I was living in New York City. I've completed a whole 2 master's programs. I completed a whole doctoral program. Like, I'm a doctor now, clinical psychology. I live now here in New York City, in Upper East Side. I work for the state of New York. So, yes, my life has definitely been very productive, shall I say, at the least. But it's interesting to see, like, who actually submitted a request. Granted, yo, it's funny because I really have not went through these submissions. I have not read any of these submissions, and this is just one book, right, that I've written that I have collected interest forms for, right? There's other books, including like my new cuckold guidebook that people have submitted an order for a book. My autobiography, American Dreamer. My autobiography, I have hundreds of those. So I haven't forgot about you guys. I just say that to say I have not forgot about you guys. It's just, yeah, I'm coming around to it. So patience is a virtue. But this person is from Jacksonville, Florida. And looking at the name, I'm not going to read any names from these submissions, but looking at the name of this person, I know exactly who this person is. By the way, I dated his brother. He's a twin, funny enough. Alright, so he's from Jacksonville, Florida. And he says that his greatest sexual fantasy is having his own television show called Sex with Big Blunt. That kind of gives it away a little bit, but I guess you guys will have to really know who he is. Funny. Alright, the next one is from Tupelo. Is that Mississippi? Okay, some of these city names is like I probably never heard of. But this person says, and this is a female, says that, her sexual fantasy is to be a dominatrix. Yo, I want to do a follow-up to see, like, that's what I'm going to add to this reply email that I'm going to send everyone who actually reached out. P.S. P.S. Have you lived your fantasy yet? Just curious. Alright, so I'm going to send a reply email to everyone who messaged me and requested a free copy of my book, Dying to Submit. And then this reply email, essentially, I'm going to read you guys what it says. So essentially I say, thank you for your interest in receiving a free advance copy of my long-awaited book, Dying to Submit. The release date is approaching soon. How soon? Soon. You can update your mailing address where you would like your free copy sent by clicking here, and I provide the link to the form on my website, and then I direct them to watch this video, which I'm going to post to my YouTube channel. So yes, I am curious to see, have they lived their fantasy? What you guys want to know? And I'm sure some will reply, right? And they can answer and let us know. So we'll see. We'll see. But for you guys who are watching, feel free to share what your fantasy is. If your fantasy is, if you're so brave to do so. Alright, so next one. I know this person too. From Jacksonville, Florida. He says, my greatest sexual fantasy is to have an orgy with a she-male, male, and a woman. Now, my question is, how often would you come across a she-male, like a person who has both male and female genitalia? I think that's very rare. But I guess through trans surgery, probably not, right? But I mean, born a male and a female, everybody is have sex with each other, playing truth or dare. A big orgy. I don't know if I would want to do something like that. Not especially not with random people. Now, if it was people that I had already developed like trust with, and we have a bond, then hey, by all means, like, let's have fun. But I don't think I would want to do something like that with just complete random strangers. So this next person is from Grantville, Georgia, and she says that her greatest sexual fantasy is open. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but okay, open. Should be a little bit more specific, because that can be interpreted many different ways. Alright, this next person is from Jonesboro, Georgia. And she says, it's a lot of women, but I'm pretty sure some men trickle in here. Actually, the first two, I think, were men. The next one says, 4 women at the same time, and this is a woman. If only you guys knew. I haven't shared a lot about myself because I'm kind of more conservative, but maybe I'll get on here one day. If only you guys knew. Alright, the next one is from a woman from Baton Rouge in Louisiana, and she says, I would love to have sex in one of the rooms like on 50 Shades of Grey. Think it would really bring out another side of me sexually. Yes, girl! Yes, and you know, they call them dungeons. So they have those dungeons here. Like, they have similar, like, rooms, right, shall I say, where you could play out and be able to experiment with different equipment and just learn really about your body. That's what it really is. Like, you're going to learn that there are erogenous zones in your body that you knew nothing about. And there are ways that you can be turned on and sexually satisfied, satiated, that will blow your freaking mind, right? It does expand your sexual experience, because for a lot of people, they are just limited, right, to when they're just relegated to just the basic intercourse, right, of penis to vagina. You know, some of y'all do the oral sex or whatever, and maybe anal, but that's it. So to know that if you, let's say, go to one of these dungeons, right, these rooms that she talks about, that you can actually experiment with different toys and tools that can bring out other parts of you and can definitely expand that sexual experience. And it's definitely going to, like, tickle, I would say, like, on a neurological level, parts of your brain that probably have been just lying dormant, right? I think it just actually opens up new neurological connections in your brain, biologically speaking. Alright, so the next one, this person, I think, is a woman from Johannesburg, South Africa, who says, out in the open air amongst the dandelions and butterflies. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yo, I can just actually visualize as I'm reading these fantasies. I can picture it, yo, because I definitely have a very vivid imagination. So imagine that. Would you be standing or would you be lying down amongst the dandelions and butterflies? But she says out in the open air. And the funny thing, like, when it comes to sex, right, I think that it should be completely unclothed, depending though, right, because there are parts of sexual activity that is actually more arousing if you're halfway dressed. Like wearing a dress but nothing underneath, like I am now. Or where, like, the man has off his shirt and he's wearing, like, some pants and some freaking Timberland boots, right? That shit is sexy. I don't know if y'all ever done that, but, you know, me having dated a man from Brooklyn, definitely you get a chance to experience what that is like. Like, imagine just, okay, the woman being fully unclothed, right, naked, and then the man just wearing some Timberland boots and some jeans. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, the next one is from a guy. He's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He says, sex in the ocean. Now, that's interesting. In the ocean? I don't think I've done it in the ocean, but I can say in a pool. But it's not the same. It's different, right? We're talking about like some aerodynamic shit. Well, that's not even really aerodynamics. What was that? What would that call? It was like the interference of gravity, I would have to say, when you're doing it in the water, like the buoyancy, like of the water. It kind of, I feel like it interferes. It's not conducive to being able to have like a good sexual experience, right? I don't know. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems a little bit awkward in terms of the physics of the water and how that intersects with the actual sexual intercourse. Alright, the next one is from a woman, and she's from Jacksonville, Florida, and she says, having sex under the waterfalls, like another water fantasy. It is something very calming, I think, just about water, though. You think about it, especially waterfall, like you hear the sound of the water. So I think that's what they're going for in terms of having sex in the ocean. It's just that calming, relaxing effect of hearing the sound of water. You know, you can do that at home, just turning on some meditative music with the ocean sounds in the background. Alright, I'm going to try to like get through as many as I can. Like I say, there are a lot. So each of these responses that I'm reading are from people who are requesting a free advanced copy of my book, Dying to Submit. And so part of that form, I have a question there where I ask, what's your sexual fantasy? This person says, okay, this person is a woman. She's from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. She says, I don't know. See, some people repress their sexual fantasies. You know, they try not to think about it. Anytime their mind kind of goes in the direction of sex, they're like automatically conditioned and trained to shut it down, especially people who are very religious. So perhaps that could be for her, and she is in North Carolina. They call it the Bible Belt, right? All right, this next person is from Knoxville, Tennessee, and she says, I don't have one. Okay, maybe you've done it all. All right, next person, woman, she is from Kansas City, Missouri. And she says, I just want to go through these to see if any of these truly stand out, like, or they kind of tickle maybe some interest in a fantasy of mine. Let's see. So she says, to have a steamy relationship with a dom. Girl, yes. She probably thoroughly read my story. And a lot of these people have read my excerpt on my website, which comes from the book Dying to Submit that they are requesting. And yo, you just gotta go read. If you haven't read it, listen. It's a quick read. And the way it's set up, I wrote it in the form of a blog, like blog entries. So it starts out with me basically saying how I discovered BDSM and how I talk about, I didn't know, like, you know, there was a thing called BDSM, and then I just go right into like the actual experience, the story. And it's written, like I said, like blog entries on my website. So you'll read one blog entry and get down to the end, and then it's going to say, keep reading, or click here to continue reading. And then you read the next one, and then you scroll down, it's going to say, click here to continue reading. So you're going to, it's like more interactive, you know. But before you know it, you're at the end of the blog, and you're just like, wait, that's it? You want to keep reading, right? It's not the entire story. It's not complete. So it's an excerpt. But it's very, I'm telling you, it's very titillating. And you're going to be aroused. And I just warn people because it's steamy. I've had Christian people come over. I have all kind of people that follow me on Facebook, by the way, shall I say. A lot of them are writers, authors, publishers, Christians. Like, it's mostly black people, of course. But I have all kinds of people. And I find it interesting, the Christians that have come over to read my story, right? And it's just like blown away. It's very, it's very vivid, shall I say. It's raunchy. I don't hold back, okay? So, I just have to warn y'all. So, it's no surprises. Well, it's going to be some surprises. It's always surprises. But, you know, at least you'll be prepared to know, like, what you're getting into. It's very explicit, okay? Very. Alright, the next one is from a woman. She's from Savannah, Georgia. Oh, she said she just did it. Wait, she says do just it. I don't know. Does that mean you just did it? Yo, what if she just had did it before she sent this email? Alright, this next one is from, I was about to freaking read her name. Oops, but I'm not going to read her name. It's from a woman though. And she's from, where is this? Indianapolis? Just having sex in a boxcar train while the conductor blowing the whistle. Yo, that's funny. I can see that. I never heard such a fantasy. Yo, this is exciting to see this, yo. In a boxcar train while the conductor blowing the whistle. Now, okay, so this makes me want to share one of mine. So, I've had a sexual fantasy. And it's not, I feel like it's not much deviant from what you guys are already privy to, right? What I've already shared with you guys in terms of, you know, it's related to my BDSM fetish, right? And I like bondage. I like to be tied up. But I've never been, like, in handcuffs. Well, I have. But not by a real police officer. In the form of having sex, shall I say, right? So yeah, that shit will be lit. Now, I have dated a police officer back when I was living in Hollywood, California, but it was very brief because dude was a little trippy. And I don't like men who are like super anxious and just like kind of always unnerving and have that nervous energy. I don't like that. And he was like definitely on edge. He was cute though, buff and all of that, but yeah, that's definitely has been one of my fantasies. And I think that's kind of typical, right? Like, even when you go to like the sex toy stores, you see like the handcuffs or whatever. But yeah, I don't want a man to dress up in police gear. I want it to be an actual police officer, right? And even better, like a fucking dignitary or FBI agent. Like, I like power, so I think with having intercourse like with the police officer, it kind of symbolizes or represents like that power dynamic, you know. So that's what it is. It's not so much, oh, it's a police. It's a fact of what the police represents, or authority. And submitting to that, being dominated by that. Alright, let's keep going. So the next one is from a woman from Osceola, Arkansas. And she says, none. Alright. If you say so. These are people who I guess don't have fantasies and they're not sexually open or curious. Alright, the next one is from a woman from Charleston, South Carolina, and she says an orgy. It's typical. But think about orgies though, yo, that shit is a workout. You're gonna get fucking burnt the hell out. Think about it, right? You got, let's say you got at least five people that you're having an orgy with. Now, if you have a high sex drive, then maybe not, right? Because you're just like ready and open, and you know, and depending on what the dynamics, you know, how the dynamics are. Like, is it all women? Is it an intermix of men and women? If it's one man and all women, shit, his ass gonna be burnt the hell out. You think about it. There's no way you got that much dick to go around, but I don't know. There are some professionals, they're pretty good at what they do. They're able to keep going back to back, so I don't know. Alright, so the next one is from a woman. She's from Jacksonville, Florida, and she says, to submit completely to my future husband. Girl, yes. Yes, honey. Alright. There's so many, yo. I want to make sure that I get through all of them. So this one is from a male from Barstow, California, and says, can't even say why. The thing, listen, it's a fantasy. You're not going to incriminate yourself by sharing your fantasy, right? Even if your fantasy involves some illegal shit, it's a fantasy. Alright? Then that's why, like, for me, I'm a writer, and that's where I feel best to be able to express myself unapologetically and freely, because, listen, that's where you get away with it. You know, it's just your thoughts, it's your imagination. What he says, can't say. Alright, the next one is from a woman from Birmingham, Alabama. And she says, 2 women and a lot of toys. Okay. Next one's from a woman from Trenton, New Jersey. She says, I don't have one. Sure. The next woman says, she's from Rayla, North Carolina. Don't have one. What? Don't have one? It's almost a crime not to have one. Alright, the next one is from a woman, Montgomery, Alabama. Love making in the rain. I think y'all watch too many Hollywood movies. That's what it is. Love making in the rain. I guess that can be sexually arousing. I just don't, for me. I don't think it would do it for me. Just in the rain, having sex. I don't know. What's the hype about that? Alright. The next one, I don't know if this is a male or a woman. It looks like a business. And they are from Brooklyn, New York. And they say, never really thought about it. Next one is from a woman from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have none. What? Alright. The next one's a woman, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And she says, to be chained up by my husband and let him and another female have their way with me. Girl, yes. That's similar to one of mine. But instead of a man and a woman, yes. Let's do 2. Let's do 2 men on that one. Next one is from a woman, Jacksonville, Florida. Says, my greatest fantasy is to go to a swingers party and actually participate in the festivities. Okay. Because the thing is, like, I've been to like BDSM parties, right? But I've just observed, just been the quiet, silent observer. So that's a whole nother level when you participate. Straight up. But you know what? I would say I participated subtly. Like, I participated in the sense where, and I talk about this in my video titled "My First BDSM Club Experience." Yo, this was like so many years ago. I think it was for my 32nd birthday, and I'm 38 years old now. It was here in New York, and yeah, go watch that video. But it was fun. So this one is from a woman from Memphis, Tennessee, and she says, to be watched while having sex. Yes! I'm an exhibitionist myself. That shit turns me on. Alright, the next one is from a woman from Waukegan, Illinois. Yo, some of these cities I've never heard of before. She says, on a jet flying. I wonder if she's ever been on a jet. Or most people have been on a plane, right? And maybe you're turned on by the pilot. Is it with the pilot? Is the pilot part of your fantasy? Alright, the next one's from a woman from Kansas City. And she says, my greatest fantasy would have to be my husband, another woman, and I. Yo, see, look at that. You guys would be surprised to see how many women are with the shit, right? So for men who feel inclined to cheat, I get it. For some, it's just the thrill, the excitement of getting caught. But for the others who just feel like they just want to have more options sexually, like, your woman could perhaps be down for it, but you are too afraid to have that conversation with her, so you wouldn't even know. Interesting. Alright, let's keep going here. The next one is from a woman from Charleston, Mississippi, and she says, to make love all night long in every room of my home and on every piece of furniture. I think most people do that, though. Like couples who are like highly sexually active, right? They usually have already done that anyway. They done it on the bed, they done it on the couch, like what other piece of furniture? In the dining room, on the table, they've done all of that shit. Alright, next one's from a woman. She's from Philly, PA, and she says, on the beach at night under the stars. Oh yeah, that's very cosmic right there. Alright, this next woman says she's from Plano, Illinois. She's a threesome. Another one from Philly. To have a hot threesome in the rain on a New York rooftop. Okay, now we talking. Rooftop sex. Alright, the next one, she's from Decatur, Georgia. And she puts question mark. Some people want to keep it private. I get it. Next one's from a guy. He's from Bamberg, South Carolina. He says, to have NSA, no holds barred, gay sex with Chris Brown. Very specific. Tyrese, John Cena, Plies, locked in a house overlooking the city. Okay. Okay then. Very specific. Okay. Alright. The next woman says, and she's from Akron, Ohio. Have sex in a thunderstorm on a rooftop deck. Thunderstorm? The hell? Some of y'all are crazy. Alright. That would be exciting though, right? Like while it's thundering. What about having sex in a hurricane? Alright. The next one, San Francisco. She says, to have someone make my toes curl. Girl, you ain't did that yet? The hell you been doing? Who the hell you been laying up with? Alright, next one, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. She says, my greatest sexual fantasy is to have my fiance dominate me like BDSM style with another woman. I think I'm rubbing off on some of y'all. Yes, the next one is from Lithonia, Georgia, and she says, that's between me and my husband who satisfy all of those needs. Okay, okay. Alright. That's fun, yo. Let's see, did I read this one? Yo, there's so many. I think I did. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to get through every single one because this is just one page of email. So basically I had to search on my Gmail to find all of these entries, and then there are like 2 freaking pages of submissions, yo. So yes, it's like over 100. It's a lot of submissions that I received, and I'm pretty sure after I post this video that shit gonna shoot up. But I think I'm going to have to limit it because these are for free advanced copies of Dying to Submit. So I would like to be very generous and maybe give out, with my autobiography, I'm definitely going to do over 1,000 free advanced copies. But with this, I may do just like 150, 200 free advanced copies. We'll see. Alright, this person's from Youngstown, Ohio. A woman, she says, to sleep with a woman. I just find it interesting that how many people have not lived their sexual fantasies. And we're talking about fantasies that are very common and typical. And they have not done it yet. It's like, maybe I was just fast growing up, I guess. I don't know. This person says she's from Saginaw, Michigan. On the beach in the rain. Y'all in these water fantasies. Next one from Philadelphia, PA, says to have sex in a drop-top Mustang in the rain. Y'all in the rain! It's a common theme here. Chicago, Illinois, she says, having a threesome with another woman and my guy in jail on visitation. For you guys who are watching, feel free to share your fantasy. Don't worry, I don't judge. I may be curious and I may ask questions, but I don't judge. Chattanooga, Tennessee, she says, a threesome, 2 men and myself in the rain. I'm in control. They are sexual slaves for one night. What's the rain, though? I don't get it. What's the deal about the rain? Alright, she's from Charlotte, North Carolina. She says, me and 2 women having great sex for a whole weekend. Alright. Alright. I want to see if we could take it up a notch, yo. I feel like I said, a lot of these fantasies are very common. I got so many emails. But we're going to see how much we can get through here. So where were we? We were here. Alright, she says, she's from Nichols, Georgia. She says, don't know. A lot of you guys say don't know. I guess you haven't thought about it. I guess. Alright, so this email thread has 61 submissions. So apparently when I get like an email thread like this with multiple submissions, it's because they all submitted like around the exact same time. Like, so these submissions came in from July 17, 2015 through, I know they were all the same day. Yeah, July 17th. Yeah, these are all the same day. 61 submissions. I don't know if I'm going to, let's see, how are we doing on time? I don't know if I'm able to get to all of these. See, we're already at 41 minutes. So this is what I'll do. I may just finish this. This may be the last email thread that I'll read. And we may come back and do a part 2. We'll see. I don't know. It's a lot. Okay, so this person is from Knoxville, Tennessee. She says, to do it on the beach under the moonlight. Okay. This is a guy from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He says, to have sex in the ocean by moonlight or in the rain. Y'all in the moonlight. Okay. Next person from Oxford, North Carolina. Whips and chains. Who's getting whipped? Are you or the other person? Yo, freaking, them spankings, them beatings. Whole another level of ecstasy right there. Alright, this next person is from Nightingale, North Carolina. Let's see, is it a woman? Let's pull up. Yeah, it's a woman, and she says, having a female-male threesome. Okay. Chicago, Illinois, she says, to participate in a threesome. Richmond Hill, Georgia, she says, to record an orgy. Now, I've never done that. But that would be interesting to look at yourself. Have sex, I guess. Would you post it, though? Would you post the orgy on a site or what? Alright, this next person says, she's from what? Cooley Me. Never heard of that. That's some backwoods shit right there. Cooley Me, North Carolina. Being blindfolded. Yeah, that does heighten the sensations when you blindfold yourself. Anytime you take away any of your senses, it heightens the other senses. And so, especially being blindfolded, not being able to see what's happening. I've been blindfolded, and for me, it made me more like alert, right? So my ears are like